No electricity, no cars, no internet, and no zippers. The Amish follow one of the strictest rule systems in America, a code so detailed it governs everything from the color of your buggy to whether you're allowed to own a bicycle. And right now, over 410,000 of them are living this way across 32 states. Their population has grown 131% since the year 2000, doubling roughly every 20 years. That makes them the fastest growing religious community in North America. But here's what most people get completely wrong about the Amish. They're not anti-technology. They're not stuck in the 1800s. And the rules that seem bizarre from the outside? Every single one traces back to a philosophy so logical, so internally consistent, that once you understand it, you'll never look at Amish life the same way again. So, let's get into it. The entire Amish way of life is governed by something called the Ordnung, which is German for order or discipline. And here's the first thing that will surprise you. The Ordnung is almost entirely unwritten. There is no Amish rule book. Every baptized member of each congregation reviews these rules together twice a year, and the rules can vary dramatically from one community to the next. A practice that's perfectly acceptable in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, might get you shunned in Holmes County, Ohio. And the technology contradictions are where it gets really interesting. The Amish rejected electricity from the public grid around 1920, not because they are afraid of power, but because power lines physically connect your home to the outside world. That distinction matters. So instead of plugging into the grid, Amish workshops run on pneumatic and hydraulic power. They use compressed air to operate saws, nail guns, ceiling fans, and even washing machines. 12-volt batteries are accepted across nearly every Amish community for buggy lights, flashlights, and cash registers. And solar panels have been surging in popularity since 2015 because solar stays off the public grid entirely. James Mast of Arc Battery in Ohio said the technology has changed faster than ever. Now phones. Old order Amish cannot have a phone inside the home. But they build something called a phone shanty, a small wooden hut that looks like an outhouse, usually at the end of the farm lane. The phone is for outgoing calls only, emergencies, business, calling the vet, not for chatting. But here's the thing. Cell phones are creeping into more and more communities for business use. Most Amish teens in Lancaster County now carry one. Some communities even invented what is called a black box phone, a deliberately bulky, limited function device that is harder to hide and cannot browse the internet. It is a compromise between total prohibition and smartphones. They can ride in cars, but they can never drive them. Old order Amish freely hire non-Amish drivers, known as Amish taxis, at about 60 cents to $1.30 per mile. They can ride buses, trains, even airplanes. But owning a car would let families scatter geographically, and that would weaken the community. One Amish man put it perfectly. If Miss Betty's barn burned down, we could build that thing up in 3 days flat. But if we had cars, we'd be too far away from each other. Tractors are allowed at the barn for powering equipment, but in most communities, they are forbidden in the fields. Communities that permit tractors require steel wheels instead of rubber tires, deliberately making them uncomfortable for road travel, so they cannot replace the horse and buggy. Bicycles are banned in many communities because they cover too much distance too quickly, but kick scooters with large wheels? Totally fine. And then there are the buggies themselves. There are 6 main buggy colors, and each one identifies a specific community. Gray buggies belong to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Black buggies are Holmes County, Ohio, and northern Indiana. White buggies are the Nebraska Amish, who confusingly live mostly in Mifflin County, Pennsylvania. Brown buggies come from New Wilmington, Pennsylvania. And then there are the yellow buggies, the rarest of all, belonging to the Byler Amish in Big Valley, Pennsylvania. They're called the yellow toppers, and the men wear only one suspender. A new buggy costs anywhere from $4,000 to over $18,000, and a horse can cover about 25 miles before needing rest, which limits the Amish world to roughly a 12-mile radius from home. That physical limitation is intentional. Now here's something that catches everyone off guard. Traditional Amish dolls have no face, no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Completely blank. The reasoning comes from the Second Commandment's prohibition against graven images, the avoidance of vanity, and the belief that only God can create people. The same logic applies to photographs. Posing for a face-on photo is forbidden, but mirrors? Mirrors are fine because a mirror creates no permanent, reproducible image. Musical instruments are banned in nearly every community because they promote individual pride. The one exception is the harmonica, which is tolerated at home. All singing is done without instruments, a cappella, using a hymnal called the Ausbund. And this is where it gets remarkable. The Ausbund was first published in 1564. It is the oldest hymnal in continuous use anywhere in the world. Many of its 140 hymns were written by Anabaptist prisoners locked in the dungeon of Passau Castle in Bavaria between 1535 and 1540. The book contains no musical notation whatsoever. Every melody has been passed down orally, generation to generation, for over 460 years. But none of these rules make sense until you understand the single German word behind all of them. Gelassenheit, pronounced Gelassenheit. It means yielding, self-surrender, letting go. Scholar Donald Kraybill, the leading academic authority on Amish life, calls it the deep taproot that nourishes the entire Amish way. It comes from the words of Jesus, "Not my will, but thine be done." The twin virtues of Gelassenheit are humility and obedience. Its opposite, Hochmut, which means pride, is the greatest sin an Amish person can commit. Every single rule in the Ordnung is designed to suppress the individual and strengthen the community. Plain dress removes competition. No electricity from the grid prevents dependence on outsiders. Horse-drawn buggies keep families close. Even the clothing details carry meaning. Only solid colors, no patterns. Women's dresses are fastened with straight pins, hooks, and eyes, or snaps. Never buttons, which are considered decorative and worldly. Never zippers. Men's suit coats have no lapels, no collars, no pockets, because those features resemble military uniforms. The welfare of the community always ranks above individual rights. And this brings us to the beards. Married Amish men must grow a beard from their wedding day onward. It's never shaved again. The beard replaces the wedding ring, since all jewelry is forbidden. But they must always shave the upper lip. Always. And the reason goes back centuries. From 1860 to 1916, the British Army mandated mustaches for all soldiers under King's Regulations Command, number 1695. Throughout 19th century Europe, the mustache was the visual symbol of military officers, the very people who had been persecuting Anabaptist communities for generations. Shaving the mustache became a deliberate, permanent protest against militarism by committed pacifists. Swartzentruber men grow their beards completely untrimmed, often halfway to the waist. The Amish approach to technology isn't rejection, it's intentional selection. Kevin Kelly, co-founder of Wired magazine, spent time studying what he called Amish hackers and identified 4 principles. First, they default to no and ban more than they adopt. Second, they evaluate by experience, not theory, letting early adopters pioneer under watchful eyes. Third, they ask whether a technology strengthens or weakens family and community. And fourth, decisions are always communal, never individual. When enough members adopt something, the bishop raises the matter before the entire congregation, and only if all members consent is the practice accepted. Kelly estimates the Amish lag about 50 years behind the mainstream, and it's completely on purpose. This philosophy was tested at the highest level in 1972. Amish formal education ends after 8th grade. Children attend one-room schoolhouses with about 30 students across all grades, taught by an unmarried Amish woman who herself has only an 8th grade education. After that, children enter vocational apprenticeships in farming, woodworking, cooking, and homemaking. 3 Amish fathers in New Glarus, Wisconsin, Jonas Yoder, Wallace Miller, and Aidan Utsi, were fined just $5 each for refusing to send their teenagers to high school. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court. In Wisconsin v. Yoder, the court ruled 7-0 that forcing Amish children to attend school beyond 8th grade violated the First Amendment. Chief Justice Warren Burger cited the Amish community's 300-year track record as a successful and self-sufficient segment of American society. But here's the backstory most people don't know. The Amish themselves shun courts and lawsuits. A Lutheran pastor named Reverend William Lindholm founded the National Committee for Amish Religious Freedom to bring the case on their behalf. After winning, Jonas Yoder was distressed by the attention. He said, "For me, I wish it had been someone else." Now we need to talk about shunning. Shunning, called Meidung, is foundational to Amish identity. In 1693, a Swiss leader named Jakob Amann split from the broader Mennonites over this exact issue. Amann insisted that excommunication required total severance of social relations. His followers became the Amish. The process is more careful than people realize. It starts with private counsel, then public admonition, then at least 3 formal warnings. Only after all of that comes excommunication, called the ban, followed by social avoidance. A shunned person cannot share a table with members, cannot do business with the community, and married couples under a ban cannot have intimate relations. But shunning only applies to baptized members. Since the Amish only baptize adults, children can never be shunned. People who leave before baptism are not formally shunned at all. Scholar Karen Johnson Weiner describes it as community-wide tough love. The hope is always that the shun will bring the person back, and the severity varies enormously. Swartz and Truber Amish practice lifelong shunning. One couple reported they no longer mention a married daughter who joined a conservative Mennonite church and haven't seen the grandchildren born since she left. Lancaster County is also strict despite being liberal on technology, but many Midwest communities lift the ban if someone joins a related Anabaptist church, and New Order Amish are far more lenient. The door is always open for return through public confession. But the most extraordinary demonstration of Amish values happened on October 2nd, 2006, at the West Nickel Mines School in Lancaster County. A milk truck driver named Charles Carl Roberts entered the one-room schoolhouse, tied the legs of 10 Amish girls aged 6 to 13, and opened fire, killing 5 before turning the gun on himself. 13-year-old Marion Fisher reportedly begged him to shoot her first and let the little ones go. That same afternoon, a grandfather of one of the murdered girls told young relatives, "We must not think evil of this man." Within hours, Amish neighbors visited the killer's family home, placed hands on the father's shoulder, and offered forgiveness. More than half of the approximately 75 mourners at the killer's funeral were Amish, families who buried their own daughters just the day before. They embraced the widow, told the family to stay in their home, and brought a comfort quilt. Over 2,400 news stories covered the response worldwide within a week. The community called it their 9/11. The forgiveness was a deliberate commitment, not the absence of grief. Now let's talk about Rumspringa, because almost everything you've heard about it is wrong. Rumspringa is Pennsylvania Dutch for running around. It typically begins at age 16 and continues until the young person decides to be baptized, usually between 18 and 22, or to leave permanently. It is not a formal ceremony. Among the Amish themselves, Rumspringa simply refers to adolescence. The Amish Heritage Foundation, which is run by former Amish, has explicitly stated that reality TV, some documentary films, and self-proclaimed academic experts outright lie about what Rumspringa really is. The reality for most Amish teens: they continue living at home, they still attend church, they still do household chores. The main activity is joining a youth group called a Buddy Bunch that meets weekly for volleyball, singing, and socializing. A young man asks a young woman to ride home in his open-top buggy after a Sunday singing, and that's how most courtships begin. Some mild exploration happens, like using a cell phone, wearing jeans, or watching a movie. The extreme cases, barn parties with alcohol, drug experimentation, moving to apartments in town, represent only 10 to 20% of youth, mostly in the largest communities where there's enough anonymity to get away with it. The 1998 Lancaster County drug bust, where 2 young Amish men were selling cocaine acquired from the Pagans motorcycle gang, was deeply unusual and shook the community. Professor Richard Stevick of Messiah University pointed out that public interest in Rumspringa would be far less if coverage didn't focus on the most extreme examples. Here's the number that matters. About 85% of Amish youth ultimately join the church. But the breakdown by community type reveals a counterintuitive pattern. The Andy Weaver Amish, who are quite strict, retain about 97%. The Swartz and Truber Amish, the most conservative group of all, retain about 90%. Mainstream Old Order Amish retain around 85%. But the New Order Amish, who are more progressive, allow more technology, and emphasize personal salvation, only retain 60 to 70%. The stricter the community, the higher the retention. The more freedom you give, the more people leave. That's a genuinely fascinating paradox. And then there's the courtship tradition nobody talks about. In the most conservative Old Order communities, a practice called bundling still exists, though it's increasingly rare. A young man visits the girl's home, is let in by the father, and goes to her upstairs bedroom. The couple lies in bed fully clothed, historically separated by a wooden board. Kissing and hugging is acceptable, but intercourse is forbidden, the New Order. Amish explicitly prohibit bundling. It was one of the key reasons for their split. When families in Lancaster County are asked about it, they just laugh. Amish weddings happen on Tuesdays or Thursdays in November and December, after the harvest is done. The ceremony starts at 8:30 in the morning, and the celebration runs until 10:30 at night. Guest lists range from 200 to 600 people. The bride makes her own dress, usually blue or purple, never white. She wears this dress to church every Sunday for the rest of her life and is eventually buried in it. No rings are exchanged. The groom might give her china or a clock instead. And here's the best detail. Families plant several hundred stalks of celery in their garden in early summer. Neighbors who notice the giant celery crop can guess a wedding is coming. Celery symbolizes fertility and shows up everywhere at the wedding, in mason jars instead of flowers, and in creamed celery, the essential wedding side dish. After the ceremony, there is no honeymoon. The couple helps clean up the next morning, then spends weeks visiting every single wedding guest to receive gifts. Now let's look at what's happening with the Amish right now, because the changes are bigger than you'd expect. The Amish population hit 410,955 in 2025, spread across 684 settlements and over 3,100 church districts. New York's Amish population has quadrupled since 2000. Minnesota grown by 230%. Amish settlements have appeared for the first time in Colorado, Nebraska, New Mexico, South Dakota, Vermont, and Wyoming. The growth comes almost entirely from births, with families averaging 5 or more children, combined with that 85% retention rate. The shift from farming to business has been dramatic. Rising land prices, especially in Lancaster County, have pushed young families into entrepreneurship. At least 9,000 Amish business owners operate across the country, and their failure rate is remarkable. Between 2.6% and 4.2% of Amish businesses fail, compared to roughly 50% nationally. Donald Craybill notes that the phrase Amish millionaire is no longer an oxymoron. In Lancaster County alone, about 100 Amish construction crews leave the settlement daily for work. And yes, the Amish do pay federal and state income tax, sales tax, and property tax, including taxes for public schools their children don't attend. They're exempt from Social Security and Medicare through IRS Form 4029, waiving all rights to those benefits. Medical bills are handled through an incredible layered system. First, the individual pays. Then the local church draws from alms, since members tithe roughly 10% of income. Then formal plans like Amish Hospital Aid, which started in 1969, cover major expenses for about $250 per month per family. If costs still exceed capacity, letters go out to other congregations across the country. And benefit auctions can raise $300,000 in a single evening. Because the Amish pay cash and pay within 10 days, they negotiate discounts of 20 to 70% off standard hospital rates. One community member stated that all of the bills get paid, 100% of the time, including bills close to $1 million. But the system has a darker side too. A 2024 survey of over 1,000 Amish households found that 39% reported sometimes avoiding recommended medical care due to cost. Dental care is particularly rough. Many communities prefer tooth extraction over fillings because it's cheaper. Young adults, even teenagers, getting full extraction and dentures is not uncommon. Unlicensed Amish dentists operate within communities charging $15 to $20 per extraction. A study in Geauga County, Ohio, found that over 88% of Amish children had untreated tooth decay and 28% had never seen a dentist. There's also a genetic challenge that comes from being a closed community. Nearly all Amish descend from about 500 18th century founders, creating significant bottlenecks. Ellis Van Creveld syndrome, a form of dwarfism with extra fingers and heart defects, occurs in about 1 in 229 Lancaster County Amish compared to 1 in 60,000 in the general population. The Clinic for Special Children in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, founded in 1989 by Dr. Holmes Morton, has identified 39 heritable disorders unique to these communities and serves over 1,100 patients. And then came COVID. Amish communities largely did not follow lockdowns, masking, or social distancing guidelines. Church services, weddings, and funerals continued with minimal changes. An Amish Mennonite man named Calvin Lapp told reporters it's a worse thing to quit working than dying. A CDC investigation of an Ohio Amish community found 77% positive rates among those tested. By spring 2020, an estimated 90% of Lancaster County Amish families had at least one infected member. Research published in the Journal of Religion and Health in 2023 found these communities experienced 125% excess deaths in November 2020, and death rates remained elevated even after vaccines became widely available. A Holmes County survey found 75% of Amish respondents said they would reject a COVID vaccine. The transportation situation is evolving too. Amish families keep lists of 40 to 50 non-Amish driver phone numbers for booking rides, and some retired couples working as Amish taxi drivers log 100,000 miles per year. In progressive Lancaster County, some Amish now use the actual Uber app. Meanwhile, an Amish man in Colon, Michigan, started what he calls Amish Uber, a horse and buggy ride service at $5 per trip. 90% of one web design firm's clients are Amish businesses that need websites, though a non-Amish intermediary always manages the online presence. The Amish are not refusing the modern economy. They are participating on their own terms. If you're finding this interesting, hit subscribe. We cover stories like this every week. Here's what the Amish actually teach us, whether we realize it or not. They are not frozen in time. They are making deliberate, communal choices about which parts of modernity to accept, and they evaluate every single technology by a question most Americans never think to ask. Will this bring us closer together or pull us apart? Their population is over 410,000 and growing fast. Their businesses succeed at rates that would make Silicon Valley jealous. That 85% Rumspringa return rate isn't achieved through force. It's the gravitational pull of a community that will raise your barn, pay your $1 million hospital bill, and forgive the man who murdered your children. The Ordnung isn't a relic. It's a living negotiation between tradition and survival, updated twice a year, one congregation at a time,